Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, Turkish Spotlight Secrets. All the details are in this video. If you enjoy deep dive, text-to-speech friendly stories, please like the video, subscribe, and click join to support the channel. Thank you, let's get into it. For weeks, Istanbul's rumor mill has been turning on one name more than any other, Barış Baktas. Admired for a steady career and a carefully maintained private image, he has recently found himself at the center of a narrative that mixes work, whispers, and what-ifs. And orbiting close to that narrative is another name, equally admired, equally watched, Yağmur Yüksel. Here's what has been discussed in public spaces and what remains unconfirmed. Fans and tabloids alike have tracked a pattern of sightings. Not red carpet appearances or brand events, but quieter moments, a late dinner in a side street restaurant, a long walk near the Bosphorus when most of the city was already asleep. A conversation in a corner table that drew more attention than the speakers intended. None of that proves anything by itself. But in a culture where images travel faster than statements, the impression began to take shape that the bond between Barış and Yağmur might be more than professional rapport. Parallel to these sightings, another storyline gathered force around Barış's marriage. People who follow the couple noticed fewer joint appearances, a lighter presence on each other's social feeds, and a general sense of distance. None of that is evidence, many partners prefer privacy. Still, when the public feels a gap, speculation rushes to fill it. That speculation framed a pressure cooker, a well-known actor balancing an existing marriage, a colleague who has become a frequent presence, and a public eager for clarity that is not forthcoming. The temperature rose with a claim, reported secondhand, never confirmed, that a close friend confronted Barış in a private setting about where things were headed. The line attributed to him was measured and careful, something like, "It's not that simple." That sentence, whether exact or embellished, captured the crossroads perfectly. Because for public figures, nothing about the personal is simple. Contracts, reputations, family obligations, and the mental health of all involved become invisible weights on the scale. The audience sees a headline, the people inside the story feel the cost. Through all of this, Yağmur Yüksel kept her counsel. She did not confirm, deny, or retaliate. She went to work. She appeared where she was scheduled to appear. She let the noise be the noise. Those who claim to know her describe her as someone who does not perform intimacy for attention, and who does not wait indefinitely for someone else to make a difficult decision. Whether or not those characterizations are fair, they fit the way she moved in public. Calmly, with a kind of forward momentum that did not invite comment. Then came the image that poured fuel on an already bright flame, a telephoto shot of Barış and Yağmur seated across from each other at a seaside restaurant. The frame was tight enough that you could not see anything except faces, hands, and a glass catching the last light. Their expressions were soft, their posture inclined inward. The publication that ran it chose the loudest headline possible. As always, one picture became 1,000 interpretations. Some insisted it was a moment of friendship misread. Others treated it as confirmation of every rumor. The truth of the moment remained where it began, between the two people at the table. What followed was a familiar split in public reaction. One camp decided the story was simple, an affair, full stop, and judged the participants accordingly. Another camp argued that adults can share meals, confide in one another, and even support each other through difficult seasons without violating their commitments. A third group focused on the marriage itself. If there were long-standing problems, shouldn't the couple be left space to resolve them without a daily tally of who stood where and with whom? Those lines hardened online, where nuance rarely survives an algorithm. In the background of the discourse sit practical realities that tabloids rarely dwell on. If a public couple separates, lawyers and managers do not just negotiate the personal, they also manage the fallout for upcoming projects, sponsor obligations, and press commitments that were scheduled months in advance. In that environment, take your time is not only a moral claim, it is a logistical necessity. No major life change happens without a calendar. And yet, the heart does not consult calendars. That is where stories like this get their dramatic pull. The idea that two people might find each other at the wrong time. The idea that marriage can be both a promise and a pressure. The idea that respect for one commitment might require stepping away from another bond before it becomes an entanglement. These are not celebrity ideas, they are human ones. That is why the names, Barış Baktas and Yağmur Yüksel, carry so much attention. Audiences project their own questions onto famous faces. Where does this leave the three people most implicated by the narrative? For Barış, the lesson seems to be that silence is both shield and spotlight. When you do not speak, the story will still be told, just not by you. If the events are more complicated than headlines allow, the only antidote is carefully chosen clarity at the right time. For Yağmur, the public read her lack of commentary as dignity. It also read, fairly or not, as distance. Sometimes the only way to keep your footing is to step back from a situation whose pace you do not control. For Barış's wife, the speculation is the injury added to injury. Even if there is nothing to confirm, the constant implication hurts. If there is something to confirm, the chorus of opinions makes any decision harder to live with. In recent days, a small but telling shift has been visible. Invitations that once would have included both Barış and Yağmur now list them separately. Coverage that once linked their names in a single breath has begun to separate their timelines again. If that means anything, it may be this: whatever bond is or was there is being allowed to pass through a quieter phase, either to become something official later, or to resolve itself without spectacle. Those who favor patience will applaud the change. Those who feed on escalation will call it a pause before another flare-up. The truth is likely more ordinary. People rethink. They refocus. They return to what is in front of them. This is where responsible commentary matters. We can narrate the shape of a media story without pretending to know the private facts. We can acknowledge that a marriage under strain is more than a plot twist. We can admit that the image of two people leaning toward each other at a table does not tell us what happened before or after the shutter clicked. We can ask for grace in an arena that rarely gives it. Now, there is a second, quieter story braided through the loud one, the story of how work continues. Sets still call times. Scenes still require second and third takes. Crew still rolls gear into vans before sunrise. Both Barış and Yağmur owe other professionals their best on any given day, even when their names are trending for reasons that have nothing to do with the script in front of them. In this sense, the most meaningful measure of who they are will not be the rumors they generate but the work they deliver while the rumors swirl. Audiences can choose to reward that. A final point before we close. In celebrity culture, the temptation is to demand a clean moral of the story. He should have left. She should have waited. The spouse should have forgiven or moved on. But lives are not internet comments. If there is a moral here, it is simply this: love is not enough when it is not matched with timing, candor, and courage, and responsibility is not virtue when it becomes indecision. The people involved will have to find the balance between those truths without our approval, and they will live with the consequences longer than we will talk about them. What do you think? Should public figures be expected to explain themselves when rumors touch their marriages? Or does the principle of privacy outweigh the public's curiosity, even when images suggest more than friendship? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments. If you want us to follow how this story develops, only through verifiable updates, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and consider joining the channel to help us bring you careful, long-form coverage rather than quick speculation. Thank you so much for watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Take good care, and see you in the next video.